Sterile millionaire freezes when he sees his ex with two little girls who have the same birthmark as him. Comment below where in the world you're watching from. And get ready for a story that will touch your heart. The crisp December air carried the scent of approaching snow as Michael Reynolds stepped out of his gleaming black Bentley. At 42, he embodied success, impeccably dressed in a tailored charcoal suit that complemented his salt and pepper hair and commanding presence. The maitre d' of Le Chateau, Manhattan's most exclusive restaurant, greeted him by name. "Your usual table, Mr. Reynolds?" Michael nodded, his mind elsewhere. Today marked 5 years since his divorce from Sophia. 5 years since the devastating news that had shattered their marriage, the confirmation of his sterility. The doctors had been emphatic. He would never father children. As he settled at his corner table overlooking the twinkling city lights, Michael couldn't help but reflect on the emptiness that success couldn't fill. The Reynolds empire, built by generations before him and dramatically expanded under his leadership, meant little without someone to pass it to. "Your usual, sir?" The sommelier appeared with a bottle of 1982 Bordeaux. "Yes, Thomas." "Thank you," Michael replied, loosening his Italian silk tie. The weight of his Uncle Vernon's words from that morning's meeting still hung heavy in his mind. Family businesses require family. Without heirs, what's the point of all this, Michael? The restaurant buzzed with the quiet conversations of New York's elite, but Michael barely noticed until a familiar laugh cut through the ambient noise. A laugh he hadn't heard in 5 years but would recognize anywhere. Sophia. She stood at the entrance, radiant in a simple blue dress that highlighted her golden brown hair. She looked just as beautiful as the day they'd met 15 years ago. But she wasn't alone. 2 identical little girls, no older than 4, stood on either side of her, twins, with matching cream-colored dresses and ribbon-tied ponytails. Something about them made Michael's heart contract painfully in his chest. As they were led to their table, one of the girls turned, exposing her right forearm as she reached for a dropped toy. Michael froze, his wine glass suspended halfway to his lips. There, just below her elbow, was a distinctive crescent-shaped birthmark, identical to the one on his own arm. The same birthmark his father had and his grandfather before him. The Reynolds mark, unmistakable in its shape and location. The glass slipped from Michael's fingers, shattering against the hardwood floor. Heads turned, including Sophia's. Her face drained of color as their eyes met across the room. In that moment, Michael's world collapsed around him. The medical reports, the divorce, the years of mourning the children he thought he could never have. It had all been a lie. Those little girls with Sophia's smile and his family's birthmark, they were his daughters, and he had never known they existed. Michael sat frozen in his penthouse office, staring at the manila folder on his desk. 3 days had passed since the restaurant encounter, and he'd barely slept, his mind a tornado of questions and disbelief. The private investigator he'd hired had worked with remarkable efficiency. "It's all there, Mr. Reynolds," said Frank Donovan, a former NYPD detective whose discretion came at a premium price. "Birth certificates, medical records, preschool enrollment, everything confirms it." Michael opened the folder with trembling hands. The birth certificates named Emma and Lily Winters, born 4 years and 3 months ago at New York Presbyterian. Mother, Sophia Winters. Father, listed as unknown. "And you're absolutely certain?" Michael's voice was barely audible. "DNA doesn't lie, sir. The sample from the ice cream spoon the older twin, Emma, used in the park yesterday is a 99.9% match to yours. They're your daughters." Michael stared at the photographs, the girls on swings, holding Sophia's hands, laughing in matching yellow raincoats. His daughters. The word felt foreign yet instinctively right. "How?" he whispered, though the question wasn't really directed at Donovan. "According to my sources, Ms. Winters discovered her pregnancy approximately 6 weeks after your separation. She attempted to contact you multiple times, including through your personal assistant and family lawyer." Michael's head snapped up. "That's impossible. I never received any messages." "The report includes detailed phone records," Donovan replied. flipping to a page of meticulously documented calls. There's more. Ms. Winters apparently received a letter, supposedly from you, stating you were aware of the pregnancy but wanted no involvement with the children. The letter included a substantial check for medical expenses and a legal document waiving all paternal rights. I never wrote any such letter, Michael hissed, anger replacing shock. Someone intercepted her messages and responded as me. His mind immediately went to his uncle Vernon, the family patriarch who'd stepped in after Michael's parents died. Vernon, who controlled the flow of information to Michael. Vernon, who had insisted on accompanying him to that final fertility consultation where the doctor, Vernon's longtime golf partner, had delivered the devastating sterility diagnosis. There's something else you should know, Donovan added, his expression grave. According to my source at New York Presbyterian, Ms. Winters experienced complications during delivery. She needed an emergency blood transfusion. She tried reaching you again? Desperate to know your blood type and family medical history. Michael felt physically ill. And let me guess. She received another message supposedly from me. Donovan nodded. A legal threat this time, warning that any further attempts to contact you would result in litigation. Michael stood abruptly, moving to the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Somewhere out there were his daughters, flesh of his flesh, blood of his blood, who had never known their father. And Sophia, who believed he had coldly rejected his own children. What does she tell them? He asked quietly. About their father. According to their preschool records, she simply says he lives far away. The girls are starting to ask more questions, though. The teacher's notes mention they've been drawing family pictures with a dad-shaped empty space. Something broke inside Michael. The empty space in those crayon drawings mirrored the hollow in his own chest, a void he'd attributed to career exhaustion, but now recognized as something more profound. Find me everything on the Reynolds Family Medical Trust, he commanded, steel entering his voice. And get me the complete records from that fertility clinic. Someone orchestrated this, someone who knew exactly what they were taking from me. As Donovan gathered his materials, Michael made a silent vow to his unknown daughters. He would uncover the truth. He would make things right. And whoever had stolen these precious years from him would pay dearly for their betrayal. The Reynolds Industries headquarters occupied 50 floors of gleaming steel and glass in Midtown. Michael bypassed security with a curt nod, his fury propelling him past startled executives who scrambled out of his path. His assistant, Natalie, hurried behind him. Sir, your uncle's in a board meeting. Perfect, Michael replied, voice glacial. He pushed open the mahogany doors of the conference room without knocking. 12 board members looked up in surprise while Vernon Reynolds, 70 and still imposing with his silver mane and calculated smile, merely raised an eyebrow. Michael, this is unexpected, Vernon said smoothly. We're discussing the Asian expansion. Everyone out, Michael commanded. Except you, Uncle. Something in his tone brooked no argument. The board members filed out, confusion evident in their whispers. When the door closed, Vernon sighed. Dramatic entrances were always your specialty. What couldn't wait until dinner? Michael tossed the manila folder onto the polished table. Photographs of Emma and Lily scattered across the surface. You knew, Michael stated flatly. All this time, you knew I had daughters. Vernon's expression didn't change, but his fingers tightened slightly around his fountain pen, a tell Michael recognized from countless negotiations. I see you've met Sophia's children, Vernon replied carefully. My children, Michael corrected, voice dangerously quiet. Children, I was told, could never exist because I was supposedly sterile, a diagnosis from your personal physician, as I recall. Vernon stood, walking to the window overlooking the empire the Reynolds family had built. You were poised to take this company global. Your father never managed it. I never managed it. But you had the vision, the drive. Children would have been a distraction. The casual admission stunned Michael into momentary silence. A distraction? He finally managed. You falsified medical reports. You intercepted Sophia's messages. You forged letters in my name rejecting my own daughters. Vernon turned, his expression hardening. I protected your future, our family's legacy. They are my legacy. Michael slammed his palm on the table. 4 years, Uncle. 4 years of their lives I can never get back. Be reasonable, Vernon said dismissively. What would you have done? Abandoned your responsibilities here for diaper duty? Become a part-time CEO to attend preschool plays? The girl was already gone. The divorce was finalized. Her name is Sophia, Michael growled. And she left because we both believed we couldn't have what she wanted most. A family. She wasn't Reynolds' material, Vernon replied coldly. Not ambitious enough, not connected enough. The divorce was inevitable. Michael stepped closer, his voice dropping to a whisper. You orchestrated everything, the fertility tests, the separation, all to keep me focused on your ambitions. Our ambitions, Vernon corrected. Everything I've done has been for this family. Michael laughed bitterly. No. Family is those two. Little girls with my birthmark and their mother who thought I abandoned them. That's family. This, he gestured around the opulent boardroom, is just business. Vernon's eyes narrowed. Don't be naive. Those children need nothing from you now. Disrupt their lives, and you'll only cause damage. Focus on what matters. I finally am, Michael replied, turning to leave. And Vernon? Consider this your notice. I'm coming for everything you took from me. For 3 days, Michael circled Sophia's modest brownstone in Park Slope, gathering courage. The tree-lined street with its bicycles and strollers seemed worlds away from his sleek Manhattan penthouse. Today, he finally approached the blue door, heart hammering against his ribs. Before he could knock, the door swung open. Sophia froze, grocery bags in hand, her expression shifting from surprise to wariness. Michael, Sophia, he replied softly. May I help with those? She hesitated, then nodded slightly. He took the bags, following her inside. The apartment was warm and lived in. Colorful drawings adorned the refrigerator. Tiny shoes lined the entryway, and picture books spilled across the coffee table. The girls are at their dance class, Sophia said, unpacking groceries with methodical precision, which I assume is why you're here now. I wanted to talk to you first, Michael admitted. Without frightening them. Sophia's hand stilled. You know. I know that I have daughters, he confirmed. What I don't know is why you believed I wanted nothing to do with them. She turned, eyes flashing. The letter, Michael, the legal threats. The check that paid for their delivery when there were complications. I never sent any letter, or check, or threats. He stepped closer. Sophia, I swear on my parents' graves. I never knew you were pregnant. Vernon intercepted your messages and responded as me. Her skepticism was evident. And the medical record stating you're sterile? Falsified. My uncle's work, again. He thought children would distract me from the company, from his vision for the Reynolds legacy. Sophia leaned against the counter, processing his words. That's monstrous, Michael finished. Yes. Why should I believe you? Because you knew me, Sophia. We were married for 6 years. Whatever went wrong between us, would I really reject my own children? Uncertainty flickered across her face. I don't know what to believe anymore. Then believe this. Michael pulled out his phone, showing her documentation from his private investigator. Vernon's been manipulating both of us for years. These are phone records showing your calls to me that never reached me. Bank transfers from Reynolds' accounts to the fertility specialist who lied to us. Sophia examined the evidence, her professional training as a former legal assistant evident in her methodical review. What do you want, Michael? She finally asked. A chance, he replied simply. To know my daughters, to be their father. You can't just appear in their lives and then vanish when business calls, she warned. They've already started asking about their dad. I won't let them be hurt. I'm not asking for custody or to disrupt their routines, Michael assured her. Just time, stories, birthday parties, the chance to see them grow. The sound of a key in the lock interrupted them. Sophia's eyes widened. "That's them with my neighbor," she whispered. "They're back early." "Should I go?" Michael asked, suddenly terrified of the meeting he'd been anticipating for days. Sophia studied him, then made a decision. "No, stay. But follow my lead." The door burst open and the twins tumbled in wearing matching pink tutus, their energy filling the apartment instantly. "Mommy!" "Teacher said we're the best spinners in class," one exclaimed, then stopped short at the sight of Michael. "Girls, this is. An old friend of Mommy's," Sophia said carefully. "Mr. Reynolds." Michael knelt down to their level, his throat tight with emotion as he looked into faces that mirrored his own eyes. "Hello," he managed, his voice unsteady. "Which one of you is Emma and which is Lily?" The slightly taller twin stepped forward bravely. "I'm Emma. I'm 7 minutes older." She pointed to the birthmark on her arm. "And I have this special mark." "It's very special indeed," Michael replied, carefully rolling up his sleeve to reveal his matching mark. Both girls gasped, their eyes widening in wonder at this inexplicable connection to the stranger in their kitchen. The basement storage facility of Reynolds Tower felt like a tomb. Michael hadn't been down here in years, but he remembered his father bringing him as a child, explaining the importance of preserving family history. "These records go back 5 generations, his father had said proudly. "A Reynolds never forgets where they came from." Now, surrounded by dust-covered boxes and filing cabinets, Michael felt a renewed connection to those words. Natalie, his assistant, followed with a flashlight as they navigated the labyrinth of family archives. "What exactly are we looking for, sir?" she asked, her loyalty evident in her willingness to spend Saturday evening in this forgotten place. "Anything from 5 years ago," Michael replied. "Specifically, correspondence from Sophia that never reached me." They worked methodically, sorting through financial records, property deeds, and correspondence. After 3 hours, Natalie's voice broke the silence. "Mr. Reynolds, I think I found something." She handed him a small lockbox labeled Personal VR. Vernon Reynolds. Michael used his master key, and the box opened with a click. Inside were dozens of unopened envelopes, all addressed to him in Sophia's familiar handwriting. His hands trembled as he opened the first one, dated just weeks after their separation. "Michael, I know we ended things badly, but there's something you need to know. I'm pregnant. The doctor confirmed it yesterday. Twins. I understand if you need time to process this. Please call me when you're ready to talk. Sophia." Michael's throat tightened as he opened another. "Michael, it's been 3 weeks since my last letter. I've called your office 17 times. Your assistant says you're unavailable. I don't understand. Even if you want nothing to do with these babies, I need your family medical history. Please, Michael." Sophia. Letter after letter documented her growing desperation, her confusion at his silence, her heartbreak at his apparent rejection. The final letter contained a sonogram image of 2 tiny forms. For the father who doesn't want to be found. "They're girls, Michael. Your daughters." "He kept everything," Michael whispered, anger coiling inside him. He watched her suffer. Watched me grieve the children I thought I'd never have. Deeper in the box, Michael found medical files with his name. He paged through them, his fury growing with each doctored report and falsified test result. Every piece of evidence confirmed what he now knew. Vernon had orchestrated an elaborate deception to keep him focused on the company, sacrificing any chance at the family Michael had desperately wanted. Most damning was a handwritten note from Vernon to Dr. Harrison. "Ensure results show complete sterility. M must focus on company future, not family distractions. Standard compensation applies." "He bought my doctor," Michael said in disbelief. "My own uncle." Natalie, who had been examining other documents, handed him a folder. "Sir, there's more. These are amendments to your father's will, dated 3 months after his death. The original gave you full control at 40. These revisions give Vernon oversight until you produce an heir or reach 50. The pieces clicked into place. Vernon hadn't just separated Michael from his children, he'd engineered a scenario where Michael believed he could never have heirs, ensuring Vernon's continued control over the Reynolds empire. "We need copies of everything," Michael instructed, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "And Natalie? Find me everything on Vernon's personal finances for the past decade. If he manipulated this, there's no telling what else he's done." They worked. Michael's phone chimed with a text from Sophia. "Girls asking if you're coming to read bedtime stories again tomorrow." Despite everything, Michael smiled. In just 2 weeks, he'd gone from stranger to eagerly anticipated guest in his daughters' lives. Vernon had stolen 4 years, but he wouldn't take another day. The headline glared from Michael's tablet screen over morning coffee. Reynolds heir suffering mental break. Sources close to executive cite erratic behavior. The article quoted anonymous insiders describing Michael's sudden obsession with a non-existent family and dangerous paranoia toward trusted advisors. Michael's phone rang, his PR director frantic. 3 more publications picked up the story, sir. Reuters is requesting comment on rumors you're being evaluated for psychiatric care. Before Michael could respond, another call beeped through. His largest Middle Eastern investor. "Mr. Reynolds, we're concerned about these reports. Perhaps we should delay our partnership announcement." By noon, Michael had weathered 12 similar calls. The Reynolds stock had dropped 8 points. Vernon's strategy was clear. Undermine Michael's credibility before he could expose the truth. "Sir," Natalie interrupted, her expression grave. "Ms. Winters is here." Sophia stormed into his office, her face pale with anger. She slapped a thick envelope on his desk. "What is this?" she demanded. Michael opened it, finding documents for a $10 million trust fund, international passports for Sophia and the twins, and property deeds to a villa in Switzerland, all arranged by Vernon Reynolds. "I didn't send this," Michael said quietly. "Your uncle's assistant delivered it personally," Sophia replied, with a message that it would be better for everyone if the girls and I relocated immediately. She mentioned unfortunate media attention if we stayed. Michael's jaw tightened. "Vernon's trying to remove you before I can establish legal paternity." "Is that what you're doing?" Sophia asked sharply. "No," Michael assured her. "I told you. I just want to know them." But Vernon sees them as threats to his control. Sophia paced the office. "The girls came home crying yesterday because a photographer was taking pictures at their preschool. This morning, someone called asking about the Reynolds heirs. Michael, they're 4 years old." "I'll handle it," he promised, reaching for his phone. "Like you handled the press calling me a gold digger?" Sophia challenged. "The article mentioned me by name, Michael. My boss saw it. My neighbors. The other parents." Michael stopped, recognizing the real fear beneath her anger. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. "I never thought Vernon would target you directly." "What did you expect?" She gestured toward the window where photographers had gathered below. "You're a Reynolds. Your family practically owns this city." "Let me send security to your apartment," Michael offered. "Just temporarily." Sophia hesitated, then shook her head. "No. The girls would ask questions. They don't need to know their world is turning upside down because adults can't behave civilly." Her phone chimed with a text message. Sophia's expression shifted as she read it. "Claire," she explained. "The girl's teacher. She's asking about rumors that Mr. Reynolds is actually their father." Michael moved to stand beside her. "Sophia, I know this isn't what you wanted, but I can't let Vernon separate us again. Not when I'm just getting to know them." Unexpected tears filled Sophia's eyes. "They ask about you every day now. When is Mr. Michael coming back? Can Mr. Michael take us to the carousel again?" She looked up at him. "I don't know how to protect them from this storm you've brought into our lives." "We'll protect them together," Michael said firmly. "I won't let Vernon use them as pawns in his game. I promise you that." For the first time since their divorce, Sophia didn't pull away when he touched her arm. Instead, she looked directly into his eyes. "Don't make promises to me, Michael. Make them to your daughters." They're the ones who'll be devastated if you disappear from their lives again. Golden afternoon light bathed the playground as Michael watched Emma tentatively climb the spiral slide. Lily had already conquered it 3 times, but Emma approached challenges with careful deliberation, a trait Michael recognized from his own childhood. "You can do it, Emma," Lily cheered from below, her ponytail bouncing with excitement. Emma hesitated at the top, her small fingers gripping the metal sides. "I'm scared," she called down, lower lip trembling. Before Sophia could react from her bench nearby, Michael moved to the slide's base. "It's okay to be scared," he called up gently, "but I'm right here to catch you." Emma studied him with solemn eyes, his eyes. Then she took a deep breath and pushed off. Her delighted squeal filled the air as she spiraled down, landing safely. In Michael's waiting arms, "I did it," she exclaimed, beaming with pride. "You were so brave," Michael told her, his heart swelling as her arms instinctively wrapped around his neck. "Again," she demanded. But as he set her down, her foot caught on the playground mulch. She stumbled, scraping her knee with a sharp cry of pain. Michael's reaction was instantaneous. He scooped her up, carried her to a bench, and gently examined the minor scrape. Without thinking, he pressed a gentle kiss to her knee. "There," he said softly. "That's how my dad used to make my hurts better." Emma's tears stopped immediately. She regarded him with wide, curious eyes. "Did your daddy take care of you when you got hurt?" The innocent question landed like a physical blow. "Yes," Michael answered, voice thick with emotion. "He was very good at that." "Where's your daddy now?" Lily asked, appearing beside them. Michael swallowed hard. "He went to heaven when I was a little older than you." "Like our daddy?" Emma asked innocently. Michael froze, eyes darting to Sophia, who had joined them. The question hung between them, loaded with unspoken truths. "Your daddy isn't in heaven, sweetheart," Sophia said carefully. "He's just been away." "Far away?" Lily pressed. "Yes," Sophia answered, "but not as far as we thought." The twins exchanged one of those mysterious looks that identical siblings sometimes share, a silent communication that needed no words. Later, after the girls had been tucked into bed, Sophia invited Michael to stay for coffee. She pulled out a worn photo album and placed it between them on the kitchen table. "They should know their father," she said quietly. "I've been thinking about it since you came back. They deserve the truth." Michael opened the album with reverent hands. The first page showed Sophia in a hospital gown, her face exhausted but radiant, holding 2 tiny bundles. "November 12th, she explained. "They were 6 weeks early. Lily came first, then Emma." Page after page documented moments he'd missed, their first smiles, first steps, first birthdays. His vision blurred with tears. "I should have been there," he whispered. "You're here now," Sophia replied, and for the first time, her tone held, no accusation, only acceptance. She reached into a drawer and pulled out a small USB drive. "There's video too if you want to see it." Michael closed his eyes briefly, overwhelmed by her gesture. This wasn't just documentation of their daughters' lives. It was Sophia sharing the memories she'd captured alone, allowing him to witness what he'd missed. "Thank you," he said simply, the words entirely inadequate for the gift she was offering. As he reached for the drive, their fingers brushed. For a moment, they were just 2 parents sharing the wonder of the little lives they'd created. Before Vernon's manipulations, before the bitter divorce, before the years of separation, the twins' question echoed in his mind. "Where is our daddy?" Soon, he promised silently, they would know the full truth. Michael stared at the quarterly report spread across his desk. The numbers painted a troubling picture. 3 major investors had pulled out in the past week, citing leadership concerns. Vernon's campaign was working faster than anticipated. His phone buzzed with a text from Sophia. "Girls' ballet recital tomorrow, 4 p.m. They're asking if you're coming." A smile broke through his worry. In just 6 weeks, he'd gone from stranger to fixture in the twins' lives. He'd been there for playground visits, story times, and Sunday morning pancakes. They didn't yet know he was their father, but the connection was undeniable. Wouldn't miss it, he texted back. A knock interrupted his thoughts. Natalie entered with a concerned expression. The board's called an emergency meeting. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. Michael's heart sank. Vernon's timing is impeccable as always. Sir, they're discussing a vote of no confidence, Natalie warned. Vernon's convinced half the board you're unfit to lead. Reschedule it, Michael ordered. I tried. Vernon insisted it's non-negotiable. Michael's jaw tightened. Then they'll have to vote without me. My daughters come first. The word felt natural now. Daughters. His priorities had shifted so dramatically that the company that once consumed him now seemed secondary to two little girls in tutus. The next afternoon, Michael slipped into the community center auditorium, just as the lights dimmed. He spotted Sophia saving him a seat, her smile warm as he navigated the crowded row. You made it, she whispered, genuine pleasure in her voice. Of course, he replied, ignoring the dozens of missed calls from the boardroom. The curtain rose to reveal 20 preschoolers in sparkly costumes. Emma and Lily stood front and center, their expressions serious with concentration as they followed the simple choreography with varying degrees of success. Michael's chest tightened with a pride so fierce it caught him off guard. When Emma stumbled, slightly and recovered with determined dignity, he had to swallow back unexpected tears. After the performance, the twins rushed toward them, pink tutus bobbing through the crowd. Did you see us? Lily demanded, launching herself into Michael's arms. We were butterflies, Emma added, her eyes seeking his approval. The most beautiful butterflies I've ever seen, Michael assured them, his board meeting completely forgotten. As they walked toward the exit, a woman approached. Claire, the twins' preschool teacher whom Michael had met briefly before. Ms. Winters, could I speak with you? She asked, her eyes darting nervously to Michael. Sophia nodded, stepping aside with Claire while Michael helped the girls into their jackets. When Sophia returned, her expression had hardened. What is it? Michael asked. Claire's concerned about your sudden appearance in the girls' lives, Sophia explained quietly. She saw the articles about Reynolds Industries' unstable heir. She thinks you might be disruptive. The word stung. I'm their father, he replied, keeping his voice low so the twins wouldn't hear. A father they've only known for 6 weeks, Sophia reminded him gently. You're still Mr. Michael to them. And now there are photographers outside their school, reporters calling their teacher and rumors everywhere. Michael felt his world tilting dangerously. Vernon wasn't just threatening his company. He was poisoning the brief stability Michael had built with his daughters. I'll fix this, he promised. Sophia's eyes softened. I see how much you love them. But they've had a stable life until now. If this gets worse... She didn't finish, but her meaning was clear. She would protect the girls at any cost, even if it meant keeping them from him. As they walked toward the exit, Michael's phone lit up with a text from Natalie. Board voted 8-5. Vernon named interim CEO pending your psychological evaluation. Michael pocketed the phone without responding, watching his daughters skip ahead, blissfully unaware that their newfound world was on the verge of collapse. The sky darkened with an approaching storm as Sophia paced her living room. The manila envelope that had arrived that morning lay open on the coffee table, its contents spread out like evidence at a crime scene. Court documents with Michael's signature requesting emergency custody of Emma and Lily. Private investigator reports detailing Sophia's finances, routine, and social life. Flight itineraries to Portugal, where the Reynolds family owned a secluded estate. Most damning was a draft press release announcing Michael's intention to relocate with his newly discovered heirs to provide them the advantages of the Reynolds legacy. The betrayal cut deep. She'd begun to trust him again, allowed him into their carefully constructed life, watched her daughters grow attached to the father they still didn't know was theirs. Her phone rang. Claire again. The third call that day. I'm fine, Sophia answered, her voice steadier than she felt. No, the girls are with my mother today. The doorbell rang, sending her heart racing. Through the peephole, she saw Michael, rain-soaked and looking concerned. She opened the door but blocked his entry. "You have some nerve coming here." Confusion crossed his face. "Sophia, what's wrong? I've been calling all day." "As if you don't know," she hissed, pulling him inside but away from the stairs where little ears might overhear. "How could you, Michael? After everything you said about just wanting to know them? About respecting our life?" "What are you talking about?" She thrust the custody documents into his hands. "Were you planning to tell me before or after you kidnapped them to Portugal?" Michael scanned the papers, his face draining of color. "I never filed these," he said quietly. "This isn't my signature." "It looks exactly like your signature," Sophia countered. "And your family lawyer's firm is listed." "Vernon," Michael realized, his expression hardening. "He's escalating. Stop blaming everything on Vernon." Sophia's voice cracked with emotion. "You're a grown man who waltzed back into our lives making promises about changed priorities. Meanwhile, you're plotting to take my daughters across an ocean." "Our daughters," Michael corrected automatically, then immediately regretted it as Sophia's eyes flashed with renewed anger. "You haven't earned." "That right," she whispered furiously. "Not legally, not emotionally. 4 years, Michael. 4 years I've been their entire world while you built your empire. 6 weeks of weekend visits doesn't make you their father." The words landed like physical blows. Michael reached for the documents again, examining them more carefully. "Look at the filing date," he urged. "Last Thursday. I was with you and the girls at the Central Park Zoo, remember? Emma was scared of the penguins, and Lily wanted to bring one home." Uncertainty flickered across Sophia's face. "The signature's forged," Michael continued. "Vernon's trying to drive us apart because he knows together we could expose what he did." "Why should I believe you?" Sophia asked, but her tone had lost some certainty. "Because I made a promise to you and to Emma and Lily," Michael said quietly. "I would never take them from their home, from their mother." His phone chimed with an alert. Michael glanced down and froze. "What now?" Sophia demanded. Michael wordlessly turned his phone toward her. On the screen was a breaking news alert. Reynolds Industries executive filed for psychological evaluation. Sources say paranoid delusions about secret family prompted board action. "He's painting me as unstable," Michael said grimly. "If these custody documents get filed, it seals the narrative. I'm either a calculating villain trying to steal children from their mother, or I'm mentally unfit. Either way, I lose the company and access to the girls." Sophia finished, her anger giving way to understanding. The sound of small footsteps on the stairs made them both turn. Emma and Lily stood in matching pajamas, having returned from their grandmother's earlier than expected. "Why are you fighting?" Lily asked, her lower lip trembling. "Are you going away again, Mr. Michael?" Emma added, clutching her stuffed rabbit tighter. The adults exchanged a look of shared concern. Whatever their conflict, the twins shouldn't bear its weight. "No more visits," Sophia said quietly. "For Michael's ears only. Not until this is resolved. I won't have them caught in the crossfire." The devastation on Michael's face was evident, but he nodded slightly. The girls' well-being had to come first. "I'm not going anywhere," he told the twins with a forced smile, knowing it was a promise he might not be able to keep. The beach house on Long Island's North Shore stood as a silent sentinel against the October wind. Michael hadn't visited in 15 years, not since the summer before his father died. Back then, it had been filled with laughter, his mother's piano playing, his father's terrible jokes at the barbecue. Now, as he pushed open the creaking door, the musty scent of abandonment greeted him. Furniture draped in white sheets resembled ghosts of a happier past. It seemed an appropriate metaphor for his life. Everything valuable covered and forgotten. 3 weeks had passed since Sophia had shut him out of the twins' lives. 3 weeks of unanswered calls, of driving past their brownstone hoping for glimpses of the daughters who'd so quickly become his world. His only updates came from his private investigator, who confirmed the girls were safe, but asking daily when Mr. Michael would return. Vernon's victory was nearly complete. The board had officially suspended Michael pending psychological evaluation. His access to company accounts had been restricted. Old friends suddenly found reasons to be unavailable when he called. Michael dusted off a framed photograph on the mantel, his father at this very beach, teaching 10-year-old Michael to fish. Robert Reynolds had been a giant in Michael's eyes, balancing the demands of the family empire with genuine presence in his son's life. Until cancer took him at 48, leaving 16-year-old Michael in Vernon's calculating hands. In the EIDI adjacent study, Michael found his father's old desk untouched. He ran his fingers along the polished wood, remembering how his father would work here on summer evenings, the windows open to catch the ocean breeze. On impulse, he pulled open the bottom drawer, his father's private drawer, always locked when he was alive. Inside was a leather journal Michael had never seen. The first entry was dated just months before his death. Vernon pushing again for Asian expansion. Told him family comes first. We'll build the empire at a sustainable pace or not at all. Michael's baseball championship matters more than quarterly projections. Michael turned the pages with trembling fingers, his father's handwriting bringing his voice back to life. Another argument with Vernon today. He doesn't understand that I created this company to serve the family, not sacrifice the family to serve the company. Michael will inherit more than buildings and bank accounts. He'll inherit my values or none of it matters. As he read, a pattern emerged. Vernon had been pushing Robert just as he'd pushed Michael. Always more expansion, more profit, more legacy. Robert had resisted, prioritizing his wife and son over Vernon's grand ambitions. The final entry, dated 1 week before his father's death, struck Michael like a physical blow. Terminal diagnosis confirmed. 6 months at best. Vernon already positioning himself as Michael's mentor. Must speak with lawyers tomorrow about protecting Michael's inheritance and ensuring Vernon doesn't reshape the boy in his image. The company was only ever meant to support our family's happiness, not become our reason for existence. Must make sure Michael understands this before it's too late. But it had been too late. Robert died suddenly from complications, leaving no time for that crucial conversation. Instead, Vernon had stepped in, molding the grieving teenager into his vision of a Reynolds heir, work-obsessed, emotionally detached, company first. Michael closed the journal, understanding finally dawning. His father had never intended the Reynolds legacy to be measured in acquisitions and stock prices. The true inheritance had been love, family, presence, everything Vernon had systematically stripped from Michael's life. His phone chimed with a text from Natalie. Found something important? Meeting tomorrow? Michael sent a quick affirmative reply, then returned to the living room. He uncovered the grand piano his mother had loved, ran his fingers across the dusty keys, and made a decision. He wouldn't just reclaim his company from Vernon. He would reclaim the legacy his father had actually intended for him, one where family came first, where a child's baseball game trumped board meetings, where little girls in tutus never had to wonder where their father had gone. For the first time in 3 weeks, Michael felt clarity cutting through his despair. This wasn't just about exposing Vernon's manipulation. It was about becoming the man his father had wanted him to be, the father Emma and Lily deserved. The cafe near Central Park was deliberately public, a place where Vernon's people couldn't easily eavesdrop. Michael arrived early, choosing a corner table with a view of both entrances. He'd barely slept, his father's journal entries replaying in his mind throughout the night. Natalie appeared precisely on time, her normally polished appearance slightly disheveled. She clutched a leather portfolio to her chest like a shield. "I've been followed," she said without preamble, sliding into the seat across from him. "Vernon's security team. I had to take 3 different subway lines to lose them." "Are you sure you want to do this?" Michael asked. "Vernon won't hesitate to destroy your career." She straightened her shoulders. "My father worked for Reynolds Industries for 30 years. When he got sick, your father covered his medical expenses without hesitation. I owe this to both of you." From the portfolio, she extracted a silver USB drive. "What am I looking at?" Michael asked. Everything, Natalie replied. I accessed Vernon's private server using his executive login. He still uses your grandmother's birthday as his password. 15 years of secrets, all documented. She placed a tablet between them, voice dropping to a whisper. This first file is from 5 years ago. It's a recorded meeting between Vernon and Dr. Harrison discussing your fertility tests. Michael watched, jaw clenched, as his uncle and the doctor he'd trusted calmly discussed falsifying medical results. Vernon's words were chillingly clear. Make sure the diagnosis is absolute sterility, nothing that leaves room for hope or second opinions. There's more, Natalie continued, swiping to another file. This is from 4 years ago. Vernon instructing his assistant to intercept all communications from Sophia. The video showed Vernon reading Sophia's letters aloud, mocking her increasingly desperate pleas for contact. The twins were born with respiratory issues, Natalie explained. Sophia tried to reach you from the hospital. Vernon ordered the calls, blocked and sent a cease and desist letter in your name. Michael's hands clenched into fists. They could have died without proper family medical history. That's not all, Natalie said gravely. I've found financial records. For 15 years, Vernon has been siphoning company funds into offshore accounts. Nearly $300 million is missing, disguised as failed ventures and write-offs. Michael's mind raced. That's why he was so desperate to maintain control. He knew an independent audit would expose the theft. The board doesn't know, Natalie confirmed. Vernon's been doctoring reports for years. Even the annual independent audit is compromised. The auditor's son mysteriously received a full scholarship to Harvard, courtesy of a Reynolds charitable foundation that doesn't actually exist. A new message appeared on the tablet, an email from Sophia to Michael's personal account sent that morning. Natalie looked as surprised as he was. I set up alerts for any communications between you two, she explained. This just came through. Michael opened the message with trepidation. Michael, the girls cry for you every night. Emma won't touch her bedtime stories, saying they're only special when you read them. I don't know what's true anymore, but I know what I see in their eyes when they ask for you. My mother is watching them this afternoon. I'll be home at 2. If you still want to be part of their lives, we need to talk. Sophia. Hope surged through him for the first time in weeks. He checked his watch, just past noon. There's one more thing you need to see, Natalie said, pulling up a final document. Vernon scheduled an emergency board meeting tomorrow to announce your voluntary resignation due to health concerns. He's already drafted a press release. Michael studied the fabricated statement supposedly from him, citing stress-induced mental instability and a desire to seek treatment abroad, conveniently removing him from the country. He's made one critical mistake, Michael said, a plan forming in his mind. The annual shareholders meeting is tomorrow before his emergency board session. Every major investor will be there, expecting to hear from me. Vernon moved your presentation to the afternoon slot, Natalie warned. His people are guarding the agenda. Then we'll arrive early, Michael replied, determination hardening his voice. It's time everyone learned exactly what kind of man has been running Reynolds Industries. The Reynolds Industries auditorium buzzed with anticipation. Shareholders, executives, and financial press filled every seat, drawn by rumors of major announcements and corporate restructuring. Security guards positioned at every entrance maintained tight control over who entered. Vernon's men, all watching for Michael. They weren't watching for a delivery truck, however. Michael and Natalie slipped in through the catering entrance using staff badges Natalie had arranged through an old contact. Vernon's already inside, Natalie whispered, guiding Michael through back hallways she'd memorized during her years as an assistant. He's meeting with key investors in the executive lounge. Perfect, Michael replied, checking his watch. That gives us 15 minutes to set up. They reached the control room overlooking the auditorium. The young technicians startled at their entrance but relaxed when Natalie explained they needed to test some presentation slides. Within minutes, they had loaded the files from Natalie's USB drive into the system. At precisely 9 a.m., the auditorium lights dimmed. Vernon strode confidently to the podium, his silver hair perfectly coiffed, his custom suit impeccable. the image of distinguished leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for Reynolds Industries' annual shareholder meeting, he began smoothly. I regret to inform you that Michael Reynolds sends his apologies for his absence today. His health concerns. I think I can speak for myself, Uncle. Michael's voice rang out as he emerged from the side entrance, walking purposefully toward the stage. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Vernon's composure slipped momentarily before his practiced smile returned. Michael, what a pleasant surprise. We weren't expecting you given your condition. Michael took position at the second microphone. My condition is excellent, thank you. In fact, I've never seen things more clearly. He turned to address the assembled crowd directly. I apologize for the unconventional entrance, but certain parties have been working diligently to keep me away from this podium today. I think you'll understand why in a moment. With a nod to Natalie in the control booth, the large screen behind them illuminated with the first video, Vernon instructing Dr. Harrison to falsify medical records. Vernon lunged for the controls, but Michael stood firm. Before anyone makes assumptions about doctored videos, every file I'm sharing today has been authenticated by 3 independent digital forensics experts. Their signed affidavits have been distributed to each of you. The shareholders watched in stunned silence as the evidence mounted: Vernon's systematic manipulation, the intercepted communications from Sophia, the faked psychological evaluations. For 5 years, Michael continued, his voice steady despite the emotion behind it, I believed I could never have children due to medical reports ordered and paid for by my uncle. Meanwhile, my twin daughters were born without my knowledge, their mother's attempts to reach me deliberately blocked. Vernon grabbed the microphone. This is absurd. Michael has been under tremendous stress, fabricating conspiracy theories. The financial records, Vernon, Michael interrupted calmly. Should we discuss those next? The $300 million missing from company accounts? The offshore transfers? The falsified audit reports? The color drained from Vernon's face as the screen displayed meticulously documented financial transactions. Money flowing from Reynolds Industries into shell companies controlled by Vernon Reynolds. This company was built by my grandfather and expanded by my father with integrity and vision, Michael told the stunned audience. For 15 years, it has instead been used as a personal piggy bank by a man who sacrificed my family, my future, and your investments for his own gain. Vernon abandoned any pretense of composure. You ungrateful child, everything I did was for this company. Your father was weak, putting family picnics above billion-dollar opportunities. I made Reynolds Industries what it is today. His unintended confession echoed through the silent auditorium. In that moment, the mighty Vernon Reynolds, architect of financial empires and manipulator of lives, finally revealed himself for what he truly was. Michael's voice remained calm, controlled. Ladies and gentlemen, the board will receive comprehensive documentation of all allegations, along with my formal request for Vernon Reynolds' immediate removal and a full financial investigation. He turned to his uncle one final time. You stole my family from me, Vernon. You won't steal my father's legacy, too. The aftermath of the shareholders' meeting unfolded rapidly. Vernon was escorted from the building by security. The board unanimously voted to suspend him pending investigation, and financial auditors descended upon Reynolds Industries like a storm. Michael found himself reinstated as CEO by unanimous vote, but this victory felt hollow compared to what truly mattered. 3 days of unsuccessful attempts to reach Sophia had left him anxious. His calls went straight to voicemail, his messages unanswered. The private investigator reported that neither Sophia nor the girls had been seen at their brownstone since the morning of the shareholders' meeting. On the 4th day, Michael received an anonymous envelope. Inside was a single photograph. Sophia and the twins boarding a private plane, their faces drawn with exhaustion. Scrawled across the back in Vernon's unmistakable handwriting, "You won the company. I win the rest." Cold dread washed over Michael. Vernon had made his final move, taking the one thing Michael couldn't bear to lose. His phone rang with an unfamiliar number. "Hello, Michael." Vernon's voice was eerily calm. "Enjoying your empty victory?" Where are they? Michael demanded, signaling frantically to Natalie to trace the call. Safe, Vernon replied. Embarking on their new lives with every advantage money can provide, Sophia was quite amenable once I explained the educational opportunities for the girls in Switzerland. The estate there is lovely this time of year. She would never agree to leave with you, Michael said with more confidence than he felt. Vernon's laugh was cold. She didn't leave with me. She left because of you. All it took was showing her the custody papers you were planning to file next week. More forgeries, Michael spat. Details Vernon dismissed. The point is she believed them. After all, you're a Reynolds. Power and control are in your blood. Michael closed his eyes, fighting for calm. What do you want, Vernon? A simple exchange. Your public resignation citing health reasons, naming me as your successor. Retraction of all allegations. In return, I'll tell you where to find your precious little family. The line went dead before Michael could respond. His phone chimed with a text from an unknown number. Don't trust him. Lake House. Come alone. As Sophia. His heart raced. The Lake Placid property was one of the Reynolds family's more secluded holdings, a place Vernon would consider secure for his endgame. Cancel my meetings, Michael told Natalie, and contact the FBI agent handling Vernon's case. Tell her I may have located our missing witnesses. The drive to Lake Placid took 3 agonizing hours. As he approached the property, Michael killed the headlights, parking a quarter mile from the main house. The security system recognized his biometrics, allowing silent entry through a side door. Voices drifted from the great room, Vernon's impatient tone and a woman's terse responses. Michael moved silently down the hallway, years of Vernon's forced hunting trips finally serving a purpose. The documents are prepared, Vernon was saying. Once Michael signs, we release the trust fund. $5 million each for the girls, 10 for you. A fresh start far from here. And if he doesn't sign? Sophia asked, her voice tight with controlled fear. Then things become unpleasant. Vernon replied coldly. The psychological evaluation I've arranged would find him unfit for custody or corporate leadership. The girls would never know their father. A shame, really. Michael stepped into the doorway, his voice steady. Always the ultimatums, Uncle. Vernon, some things never change. Vernon recovered quickly from his surprise, gesturing to a guard positioned near the staircase. Perfect timing. The girls are asleep upstairs, completely unaware their world is about to change. Michael's eyes found Sophia's, a silent question passing between them. Her slight nod confirmed. The twins were indeed here, unharmed. No more. Games, Vernon, Michael said, stepping further into the room. The FBI has been notified of your location. Financial crimes, kidnapping, extortion. You'll never see the outside of a prison. Vernon's smile didn't waver. By the time they arrive, we'll be gone, unless, of course, you're prepared to make a different arrangement. He slid a document across the table. Michael's resignation letter, already prepared. Sign it, Vernon commanded. Renounce all claims to Reynolds Industries and to your daughters. In return, they get to grow up with their mother, financially secure but far from your influence. Michael glanced at Sophia, whose eyes glistened with unshed tears. He threatened the girls, she whispered. Said if I didn't cooperate, you'd lose custody and never see them again. Something shifted in Michael then, a clarity that washed away hesitation. The company, the fortune, the power, none of it mattered compared to 2 little girls sleeping peacefully upstairs. I'll sign, he said simply. Vernon's triumphant expression was almost comical as Michael took the pen. But instead of signing the resignation, Michael wrote something else entirely, a brief addition that transformed the document. He slid it back to Vernon, whose expression darkened as he read it. Effective immediately, I hereby establish the Reynolds Family Foundation, transferring 51% of my personal Reynolds Industries shares to a trust dedicated to reuniting separated families. Vernon Reynolds is permanently removed from any position within Reynolds entities. You can't do this, Vernon sputtered. I already have, Michael replied calmly. The board approved the foundation charter yesterday. The share transfer was completed this morning. Reynolds Industries is no longer about empire building, it's about second chances. The sound of approaching sirens filtered through the windows. Vernon lunged for the door but found his security detail already being handcuffed by FBI agents. As Vernon was led away, Michael turned to Sophia. "I meant what I wrote," he said quietly. "The money, the company, none of it matters without family. My father understood that. I finally do too." Sophia's expression softened. "The girls have been asking for their daddy every day." "Their daddy?" Michael repeated, hope rising in his voice. "It's time they knew the truth," Sophia said, taking his hand. "It's time we all had a second chance." 1 year later, the autumn sun cast golden light across the expansive lawn behind Michael's Long Island beach house, his father's favorite place. Children's laughter mingled with the sound of waves as Emma and Lily, now 5, chased each other through piles of fallen leaves. Michael watched from the porch, a quiet contentment warming him more than the cup of coffee in his hands. The past year had transformed everything. Vernon now faced 15 years in federal prison for financial crimes and attempted kidnapping. Reynolds Industries had emerged stronger under new leadership focused on ethical business practices, but the real transformation was personal. "Daddy, look what we found," Emma called, racing toward him with Lily close behind. Both carried seashells, of varying shapes and sizes, treasures from their morning beach exploration. "These are spectacular," Michael enthused, examining each one with exaggerated interest. "Perfect for our collection." "Mom says we need to wash them first," Lily reminded him solemnly. Of the twins, she was the rule follower, the planner, so, much like Michael himself, that it sometimes startled him. "Mom is absolutely right," he agreed. "Why don't you take them to the kitchen sink?" As they scampered inside, Sophia joined him on the porch, wrapping a cardigan around herself against the October breeze. "The foundation director called," she said, settling into the chair beside him. "The Davis family received their final approval yesterday. Another successful reunification." Michael nodded, satisfaction warming his chest. The Reynolds Family Foundation had already helped 20 separated families navigate legal hurdles to reunite, providing financial and legal support where the system had failed them. "Your father would be proud," Sophia said softly, as if reading his thoughts. Since discovering Robert Reynolds' journal, Michael had shared its contents with her, helping both understand the true legacy he'd inherited. "I hope so," Michael replied. "I keep thinking about those years we lost with the girls. No one should experience that kind of separation." They shared a comfortable silence, watching gulls circle above the water. Their relationship had evolved into something neither had anticipated. Not the rekindling of romance, but a deep partnership built on their shared love for Emma and Lily. Michael now lived in a modest home 10 minutes from Sophia's brownstone, allowing for easy co-parenting. He'd stepped back from daily operations at Reynolds Industries, taking a position on the board that allowed him to influence company direction without sacrificing time with his daughters. Every Wednesday evening was daddy dinner. Every Saturday, a family outing. Every other weekend, an overnight stay. The stability of this schedule had allowed the twins to flourish, their initial confusion giving way to the simple joy of having both parents present in their lives. "Tell Daddy about your school project," Sophia called to the twins as they emerged from the house with clean shells. "We're making a family tree," Emma announced proudly. "Miss Parker says we can put pictures of everyone we love on it. Even Uncle Thomas and Aunt Natalie," Lily added, referring to Michael's former driver and assistant who had become extended family over the past year. "And Grandpa Robert," Michael said gently. "Even though you never met him, he's an important part of our family story." As the afternoon light softened, the four of them walked along the shoreline together. Michael lifted Lily onto his shoulders while Emma skipped ahead with Sophia. The pattern they made, not a perfect nuclear family, but something honest and real, filled him with a contentment no corporate achievement ever had. Far down the beach, a solitary figure watched them. Vernon, recently granted temporary release to attend his sister's funeral. He observed for a moment the family he had tried to destroy, now stronger for having been tested. Then he turned away. finally understanding what he had sacrificed at the altar of ambition. Michael never noticed him. His world was complete, right here in the laughter of his daughters and the peaceful understanding he'd found with Sophia. Together, they had discovered that family wasn't defined by perfection, but by the choice to love despite the imperfections, a lesson worth more than any fortune